few names have entered the draft from the teams that played in the final. Mendoza, of course, entered. Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle from Miami, entered. So did D'Angelo Pons. Speaking of players who might be going to Miami, I know Damon Wilson, the second from Missouri, the edge rusher, is heading down to Miami now. He is going to be their next defensive end, taking over, of course, for Mesidor and Bain, who are going to the draft. And Darian Mensah has seeked, I believe, something about the TRO today because apparently, quote, the team that wants him needs to know by the end of the day today. So one would presume Miami wants the answer today. And if not, that begs the question of what is going to happen here. Because let's say that I'm gonna pull up Pete Thamel's exact wording here to make sure I get this all legally correct as I read it out for everybody here on these airwaves. Darian Mensah filed a request to reconsider the TRO. It also asked for an expedited preliminary injunction hearing so the court can reconsider. And counsel of both parties conferred an indicated availability to the hearing is for today. And they said within that basically they need to hear today so Mensah can transfer today if it were to happen because the team wants to know, saying Miami would like to know now about Mensah, which is a whole just amalgamation of wildness. And by the way, speaking of even wilder, Philip Rivers now interviewed the Buffalo Bills head coaching job.
I have no words.
So,
all right. So
Mensah,
all right.
Steve Jones.
I don't know what the language states in this contract. As we all know, with high-profile coaches get out of contracts all the time, but there is also a buyout in the contract. So when you have a personal services contract, which is what this happens to be, right? You perform a service, you get paid. What is a buyout if there is one? If there is one. And because it can't just be I signed a 2-year deal and hey, I got a better offer over here.
Yeah.
And so I'm leaving. There you would think there is some sort of penalizing language in it. At least I hope there would be.
Yeah.
Where they'd have to negotiate it for him to get out. The fact that Miami needs an answer today.
Well, I have part of the official answer. I was able to find it through Pete Nakos. This is from the Mensah's side's statement to the court asking for a reconsideration of the TRO. Quote, this is number 10. After the hearing, I learned for the first time that enrollment deadlines at other collegiate institutions who have indicated to me their interest in my enrollment will expire on Friday, January 23rd, 2026, meaning you have to be enrolled in classes, probably at Miami, which means if he's not able to enroll at the school, what does that mean, Steve Jones?
Look, they have late
enrollment.
They have late enrollment. I mean, come on. I mean, if that's the case, then he should have thought this out more.
That's where I'm sitting with this.
Instead of going to the last day and doing this, where now Duke's like, what? I mean, how realistic is it that? How realistic is it that they think he's going to go back to Duke? You're going to walk into that locker room and guys are going to go, "Hey, we're going to run through the wall for you."
It's going to like Damon Williams is going through it right now with Washington. Where they've basically said you've got to mend bridges.
Yeah, you've got to mend every fence out there. You've got a problem. I mean, when you're in a team sport and you make it all about you, where the single most important element is you and your contract, okay. Nobody has any issue when it's an off season and your contract is up. Nobody has an issue with that. Okay? The other players in the locker room don't because they've lived it. But they do have an issue with you when you're like, what do you mean you're under contract? What are you doing? Right? Yeah. And in other words, I don't mean under contract and I'm looking for more money from my current team.
Under contract, but trying to sign a new contract with another team.
Right? But when you're trying to go someplace else, that is a locker room problem.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, can he go back to Duke? I'm talking realistically.
That is the I guess multiple $1 million question here, because Duke is going to, if you're Manny Diaz and you're the offensive coordinators down in Durham and you're part of this team, I know another receiver I think was in the portal as well who went to Duke, who basically was just I was going to stay if Mensah was here, and I was told he was, and then all of a sudden he's not, and it's just this whole
and of course he was told
fire. Yeah.
He was told, because up until Thursday of last week, I don't think there was anybody at Duke that looked around and thought, we're
part
fine.
of what Manny was recruiting players with, was you get to play with Mensah, who's one of the better quarterbacks in college football, which is a huge yes.
And not only that, he's not out there looking for portal quarterbacks. He's got his quarterback.
Yeah. And you have him at a good number at $4 million, which is a lot, but you've got your guy. And now this all happens, and it gets a little bit more hairy.
But again, there's going to be several things that happen. To me, I keep going back to collective bargaining, and it's important. And part of collective bargaining, and I brought this up a couple of weeks ago, so I had never brought it up before, but part of collective bargaining is the Players Association has to release the contract numbers so everybody knows. Now, they get this, right? It's this long. This is guaranteed. Okay, these are incentives, and it's all laid out. In college, I've heard when people say, "Well, the college players can't." You can't do that. Yeah, you can. But you can only do it once you sign a collective bargaining agreement. If you do it independently, again, everything you do always has recruiting ramifications all the time. So if a school were to start releasing contract deals, it would have recruiting ramifications unless there is a unified collective bargaining agreement. And again, that agreement would have to entail, how the portal works, how NIL works, whether you're an employee or not. What about the medical part of it? How are contracts allowed to be structured? How are they allowed to be structured? I mean, can you do deferred money? Can you? Are there buyouts put into it? How long can the deals be? Right, and so forth. I mean, those are all things that have to be collectively bargained between the two sides. And then, oh, by the way, we have to release all the financial information, right? Except for the NIL part. The reason you would never release the NIL part, never, is that, do we know how much Patrick Mahomes gets from State Farm?
Nope.
Of course not. That's his own personal agreement. NIL is your own personal agreement. That's a personal agreement, as opposed to the rev share, which is the contract agreement.
The 20.2 million right now?
It's 20.5 right now. It goes to 21.3 starting on July 1.
So learning those numbers is one thing. Learning the NIL numbers you have with Nike or Adidas or whomever, different ball.
That's a different ball game because, we don't know what Patrick Mahomes or Aiden Hutchinson, for example, what they're getting from State Farm, or Derrick Henry, what he got from State Farm. Those are all personal deals where their fame has allowed them, where State Farm thought their fame would help allow them to sell more insurance, and so they have a personal deal with them. That would be the same to me in college as, say Gavin McKenna has outside deals. I don't know whether he does or not, but he'd be allowed to have it, and we would not have to know what the numbers happen to be because that is a personal agreement with NIL and not with Penn State. Thanks for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones. Catch the latest from me on the 7 Mountain Sports YouTube page. Find clips of the show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook by searching up 7 Mountain Sports.